Good day, everyone. My name is Shama Bigel L. Pabayos from Bachelor's of Secondary Education, major in Social Studies. So for today's video, we're going to discuss about the effects of Russia and Ukraine war in the Philippine economy. So before anything else, let's go first to the objectives. First, identify the effects of the Russia and Ukraine war in the Philippine economy. Second, learn about the Philippine inflation and its relationship to the Russian-Ukraine war. And third one is expressing awareness to global and local issues. What is happening between Russia and Ukraine? Ukraine and the Russian Federation are in a state of war. This means there are no diplomatic ties between these two countries at present. While this is devastating news in the middle of health crisis, it is not exactly a surprise. So back in 2014, Ukraine and Russia's relations were already delicate. It was in the year 2014 when the Russian Federation, under the leadership of Vladimir Putin, annexed Crimea from Ukraine. This year, Russia went even more aggressive and started a broad invasion of Ukraine, including its populated capital, Kyiv. So as a result, Ukraine is now forced to defend its sovereignty and independence. How does the Russian and Ukraine war affect global relations? With the world still reeling from the effects of the pandemic, we cannot afford a third world war between nuclear countries. That said, Ukraine and Russia's neighbors and members of the European Union or EU call for the de-escalation of this situation. So while the rest of the world cannot engage in military combat against Russia, economic sanctions could hurt the Federation just as badly. The United States, a Ukraine ally, imposed dramatic sanctions against Russia to make Putin change his course of action. The Russian and Ukraine war has affected people in all ways: physically, mentally, emotionally, and economically. You would have read that market is going to suffer a hard hit because of the war situation. The common question in people's minds is, why is war affecting the economy and businesses around the world? So to get an answer, you will have to understand how war affects the economy. As soon as you understand that, all doubts will be cleared. Apart from the loss of human life, there's damage to infrastructures, working population, rise in inflation, shortages, debt, uncertainty, and disruption in normal economical activities. All this together fluctuate the market, and there's an adverse effect on the global economy. So how does a war half a world away contribute to Philippine inflation? On February 14, Senator Panfilio Lacson urged the government to prepare a possible economic fallout as a result of the war between Ukraine and Russia. He said, "We might think that Ukraine is far away and that there is no damage for the Philippines, but we are all living in a global village," said the chair of the Senate National Defense and Security Committee. An invasion of Ukraine may adversely affect the stock markets all over the world. Prices of basic commodities and fuel may increase. We need to be prepared for this, not to mention that we are all suffering from the pandemic and are far from economic recovery, Lacson said in a statement. These are the effects of a war half a world away. So the first in the list is the record high oil prices. With the Russian-Ukraine tension escalating, oil prices are also at their all-time high in the past 7 years. As a result, economists warn that this will drive the prices of goods up to unprecedented levels. In fact, current predictions also see this driving up transportation and utility costs. Another result of higher oil prices is the elevated energy prices. Now, the Philippines is a few oil price hike away from seeing oil products rise to 100 per liter. These values may hurt the pockets of public utility drivers and car owners even with fuel subsidies. Another domino effect of higher prices of oil is higher prices for basic commodities. While we may have cautions in the short term, the prolonged conflict leaves the future of our economy and consumer confidence in uncertain territories. The second in the list is the Philippine and energy price fallout. One of the immediate impacts of war in Ukraine was the pump prices of petroleum products in the Philippines. Following global oil price hikes as a result of the escalating crossfire between Russia and Ukraine, local oil prices have started to go spiral. The spike in global oil prices, according to experts, could lead to even higher local pump prices. Global oil price hike caused by the war resulted in a year-to-date adjustments that brought a total net price increase of 10 pesos and 85 centavos per liter for diesel, 9.55 per liter for kerosene, and 8.75 per liter for gasoline. High pump prices caused by increasing global oil prices could also impact transport fare, according to the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP. So the third one is weakened peso against US dollar. The high oil prices hurt more than direct oil consumers' pockets. With high oil prices and costlier imports, the Philippine peso is also weakened against the US dollar. When the price of oil shoots up and the cost of borrowing is equally high, the Philippine peso's purchasing power is significantly lesser. Fourth one is falling Philippine shares. The Ukraine-Russia crisis indirectly affects the Philippine Stock Exchange or PSE. In fact, Philippine shares dropped by 2% last February 24. In addition, the shares index also fell by 1.9%. On top of this, the US Federal Reserve may increase interest rates, which causes more anxiety for investors. So, in simple terms, the collective indirect impact of the Ukraine-Russia war would slow down the Philippine economic recovery. While we are not directly trading with Russia and Ukraine, spillover impacts can still affect us. The worst-case scenario for our country is an economic fallout. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez describes the impact of war as a ricocheting bullet, and the Philippine economy is a collateral damage. But despite this possibility, Dominguez remains optimistic that the Philippines has enough economic tools to get through the crisis. That's all for my report. Thank you and God bless.